I went into a store out west, a big department store. Man owned the store. He said, while you're out here, would you like to see through my department store? I said, yeah, I really would. He says, come on, I'll give you a tour. As we go through this department store, it's so quiet, it's almost funereal. He's leading, I'm following. Pretty soon he stops, looks over his shoulder, says to me, well, how do you like the way our place is laid out? Not bad, boy, not bad. You could bury it right now, nobody'd miss it. What do you mean by that crack? I mean, what's wrong with everybody? Look at that girl there. Look at those two girls there. Look at that fella right there. He says, it happens to be a dignified business, Ira. We're not running a big carnival out here. Oh, really? That's right. In fact, we just fired a guy the other morning. Why? Because we caught him smiling in the stockroom, that's why. Well, my friend, that's not what the customer wants. In fact, we could turn the clock back a few billion more years. We could turn the clock back to the first customer. She didn't have on plaid slacks and bulky sweaters and dirty white sneaker shoes. She couldn't read. She couldn't write. But the only thing she has in common with my wife is their hairdos are still similar. That morning, she looked at the first piece of merchandise. And as she stood there, a voice whispered to her, you want me, don't you? Oh, come on, you know you do want me. Eve was exposed to something called the magnetism of the merchandise. She would succumb to the second most powerful instinct of the human being, self-possession. Eventually, she couldn't withstand it. She reached out. Yes, I want you. There was no poor salesman there to foul up his deal. And then her husband came out of the cave. And the Lord said to him, man, I'm going to give you some instincts to preserve you on this earth. And the first one that I'm going to give you is that you're going to feel a little pain in your stomach. And I'm warning you, you better eat or you're going to die. It's called self-preservation, the most powerful instinct of the human being. And he wrapped a piece of rock on a tree limb with some grass and killed anything that came near him. And on these are built the foundations of salesmanship. Selling is not something you get into when everything else fails. It's a most exacting science based on emotions and persuasion. Well, you won't remember me. So I think I'll remember you. No, you won't. Years from now, somebody will say, hey, did you go to that meeting that time that fella from NCR put that meeting on for our convention? I don't know. Big, tall, blonde, handsome guy? A little guy. I don't know whether I was there or not. I hear those guys, but I never remember what any of them say. I remember the guy who had the Davy Crockett hat. Don't you remember that guy? You won't remember me. You may remember me when you see a kid in a mini skirt or a maxi skirt. When you see a kid with a beard or long hair, then you'll remember me. Well, I'd like to show you some of the things that I used to use in my selling, and perhaps you could use them in yours. And while you won't remember me, you'll remember Davy and the first sign that said conformity. You know, one day I wanted to buy an electric organ. Well, I'll tell you, I really want an electric organ. I used to sit in church, and listen to organ music. I want an electric organ. One Saturday, I go into a music store. I had on my plaid slacks, knit shirt, dirty white sneaker shoes. I walk into this music store. There's a fruitwood organ sitting there. It shouts at me, do you want me? I said, oh boy, look at that fruitwood organ. It's beautiful. Just like the furniture in our house. It really is beautiful. About that time enters, quote, salesman, end quote. He practically roars up to me with excitement. Others' words that follow me all the days of my life. Help you, Mac? No, I just like to hang around dirty music stores, and I figured I'd hang around yours for a while. I just looking at that fruitwood organ there, it's beautiful, just like the furniture in our house. Well, I'll say one thing before you, fella. You stopped at the most expensive organ we make. Oh, really? That's right. Do you know how to play the piano? No, I don't know how to play the piano. I'm just looking at the organ. Well, I'd say that you ought to start with a little organ and work up. We got some little ones out in the warehouse. A little dusty out there, but you're not too well dressed. Come on back and take a look. Oh, wait a minute. I mean, really, I guess I'm not interested in an organ. I guess I really was looking for the men's room. That's why. Well, listen, if you ever do get interested in an organ, give me a call, will you? My name's Razzle Dazzle. I sell organs, and I'll give you a card, and you can give me a call. I don't have a card with me right now. I used to carry a card, but I don't have one. You won't forget me. Just ask for Razzle Dazzle. That's right, stupid. I'll never forget you. You ruined what could have been an otherwise pleasant day in my life. Don't you realize right today The American public have over $400 billion in their savings account, waiting for somebody to excite them into buying something. Wouldn't it be nice that day if he looks at that sign? Who am I interested in? I'm interested in myself. Wouldn't it be nice that day if he walks up and he sees me? Hi, how are you? It's nice to see you. Hey, look at those plaid slacks you have on there, boy. They're beautiful. You buy those locally? You have them imported? No, I just buy them locally. Well, they're beautiful. I'll tell you, they're beautiful. Oh, Ira, we wouldn't say that. We're technical. We don't sell like that. We're technical. Really? How'd you like some of my technical money, huh, Sam? Wouldn't it be nice that day he sees me? Oh, I was looking at that fruitwood organ there. It's beautiful, just like the furniture in our house. Well, I'll say one thing for you, friend. I don't know who you are, but you're a pretty smart operator, whoever you are. Because of all the organs we sell, you stopped at the most popular one. In fact, we have 4 trucks delivering that organ every day. Every day. Really? That's right. May I ask you where you live? Yeah, I live 4 miles south of the city down here. No kidding. Do you really? Yes, sir. Of all the places we sell that organ, there's a place we really sell it. In fact, the matter is, here are some young executives' homes in your neighborhood who already have that organ installed and are playing it tonight. Wrap that thing up and let me get out of here. How fast can I have it? Have it for you at 7 o'clock. I run home. I say to Carol, what do you see what I bought? I bought a fruitwood organ. The guy's going to bring it at 7 o'clock tonight. Most beautiful thing you ever saw. We're going to move the furniture away from that white paneling, put that organ up there. Let's get dinner over with. Let's go. You bought what? I bought a fruitwood organ. He's bringing it at 7 o'clock tonight. You must be out of your mind. You don't even know how to play the piano, stupid. Look, Carol, you drop those cards and get off the telephone, you find out we are the last ones out there without one. Of course, you'll meet Mr. Negative. He's right there, boy. At a meeting, a fellow came up to me after the meeting was over. He said, well, Ira, he said, I enjoyed your meeting, but he said, I got a level with you. He said, if I had to sell my product like that, he said, I wouldn't sell it. I said, don't worry, Harold, you're not. I was never ashamed of mine. I knocked on doors at 11 o'clock at night, and I said, I see you got a hole in the ground down here, and somebody told me you're building a store, and I want to show you some of the systems that I've put in right in this neighborhood. Not once did I ever have anybody look at me and say, what are you, some kind of a nut? Oh, no. They only laugh on the way down. You won't remember me. Years from now, when you go past the greeting card place, then you'll remember me. And when you see that greeting card, this is to remind you the 2 least used words in the business world, right there, thank you. The 2 most cherished words by the customer. Nobody thanks anybody for anything anymore. I carried thank you cards with me. I had them in envelopes. I had my picture on there. I had a stamp on the envelope. I'd suggest this for you. Get 50 or 60 envelopes. Put the thank you card right in them. Put the stamp right on the envelope. And if a man was nice enough to sign an order with me, as fast as he signed the order with me, I signed a thank you card. Put it in the envelope. Next morning, he gets his mail. What's this? Somebody thinks it's my birthday. It's not my birthday at all. Thank you card. Thank you card. Wow. I do business with 1 million people. Nobody thanks you for nothing anymore. That's nice of that guy. He's fast, I'll say that. Ah, boy. Well, I guess you get what you pay for. That was nice, huh? Oh, darn, I wish he hadn't sent that. I was going to cancel that order this morning. You won't remember me. Next time you see somebody smoking a pack of filter-tip cigarettes or brushing their remaining teeth with Crest, then you'll remember me. Everything I used in my life as a salesman, I had my picture on it. Wasn't for me. It was for the customer. If he doesn't know you, he can't buy from you. Everything. We had our stationery with my picture on it. I had my name cards with my picture on it. I would never write to anybody without my picture. A lot of people don't like that. I had a fellow say to me once, I think it's vain to have your own picture on your own card. I met a fellow once who wouldn't put his name on his name card. Well, I told one of the great experiences was in Los Angeles, California. We had 7,000 people at that meeting. It was a tremendous experience for me. And I remember that night after it was all over, a man came down and said to me, he said, I just wonder how smart it is for your company to send you out putting on these meetings like this. He said, I don't know whether you know it or not, Ira, but he said, all your competitors were sitting in that audience. He said, I looked around and I know them. And he said, every competitor from every business machine company was sitting there. And he said, I just wonder how smart it is for you to go out and you told them all your secrets. I said, don't worry, Benny. We can't even get our own men to do it. And while we laugh about it, it's tragic, yet it's exciting for a young guy who wants to get ahead. 95% of you in this auditorium will go home exactly the way you came. It won't change your life at all. And if you're happy and if you're successful, then God bless you. You're wonderful. About 5% of you in this room will go home and think a little bit. And that 5% say, I think I'm going to try those thank you cards. I think I'm going to try those pictures. I think I'm going to try this. And you are the people who will move up. Why, someone says, doesn't people do things? Very simple. When the man went to the moon, he was programmed all the way up. There was not a hit and miss operation. You and you and you involved with putting a man on the moon. You don't program your own lives. You hope for fate will carry you on. Well, I had some programs of my own. I'd like to share them with you. I had 8 weaknesses that I used. I've used them for 20-some years. They hang in a little hanger under the dashboard of my automobile, a little version. Every Monday morning of my life, I change to the next hire card. In my office in Dayton, Ohio, I have them hanging over my door. My secretary changes them. And they're for me, really. I don't need them. I know what the numbers are. They're for the other people who might want to share. And the first card that comes up, obviously, is the number 1. It tells me to do it now. This distinguishes the guy from the pro. The man who says to a salesman, hey, would you bring me something? Yes, sir. They like the excitement of that. Those of you in this room, go home. Don't start reading something else. Write down, you 5%ers. Write down what you saw here. Just make a list of it, and you're on your way. On the second Monday morning, card number 2 tells me organization and appearance. Look at yourself if you're interested in success. I want to tell you about my first day with NCR. And while I'm telling you about my first day with NCR, you think about your first day with your particular company. My first day with NCR, now think with me. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. My wife said to me, what are you doing up at 5 o'clock in the morning? I said, well, I'm going to take a shower. She said, you just took a bath before you got in bed. I said, no, it's my first day. I want to be clean, that's all. I remember my first day. Well, I had a suit that was just pressed neatly, picked out the right tie, raced to the barber shop the night before to have my hair cut, had chopped my fingernails off and put that white powder under it, you know, had my shoes polished like black glass. Well, was I excited. I was early that first morning. You remember your first morning? I was early that first morning. In fact, I couldn't even get in. I stood out in front of the door. I had to wait till they came and let me in. I had a grin about up to here. As I stood there that morning, number 1. Somebody could have tapped me on the shoulder and said, now, Ira, I got some sad news for you. Your good news. It took me 8 years to learn this next sentence. You will not be coming back again the same. Tomorrow, your clothes won't be quite as neat, but they'll be neater. Tomorrow you won't be quite as early, or you'll be earlier. Tomorrow your shoes won't be as shiny, or they'll be shinier. Tomorrow your happiness will not be as great, or it'll be greater. And out of it comes the future. Every day is just a little bit different. And in this room tonight, I guarantee you, I don't know where you are, but there are people in this room tonight hanging on by their fingernails. Tomorrow, you will sink one day closer to failure, or you'll pull back and move one day higher to success. You will not come home again the same. Card number 3 tells me on the third Monday morning, be cheerful and optimistic. Nobody wants to hear your problems. When that man asked you, you told me you were going to deliver those storm windows last Saturday a week ago. He doesn't want to hear about your Aunt Minnie dying, or your tires that went flat. He wants you to say, I'm so sorry. It was my fault, and I'm going to make it up to you. These are the things that separate them. You don't learn them overnight. You learn them by going home whimpering some nights. You learn them by losing an order some nights. Card number 4, it tells you you're not going to be successful overnight. It's a day-by-day operation as you come back. Moderation. In this room tonight, an insurance man, wherever you are, you could go out tomorrow morning with a camera and take 2 pictures of 2 purchasers or clients of your insurance company. And if you took only 2 a day at the end of a year, you would be able to show 720 people who are using the great benefits of your insurance company. And I assure you, my friend, you would be the only insurance salesman in the United States of America that could make that statement. You're number one. In this room, as I said before, there is one best salesman, there is one worst, and everybody is in between. Fortunately, it changes every day. Card number 5 warns me, in your search for success, say something nice to everyone you meet. I remember a woman called on a telephone to our office one day. That little fat guy, the guy that sold me the cash register. You get that boy over here. I hate him. I never did want the cash register. It's too big, it's too expensive, I can't operate it, I don't like it. I didn't even invite him in. He came in here. I signed the order to get rid of him. You get him over here, and when he gets over here, I'm really going to tell him what I think about him. I walk in there, steam's coming out of this woman's ears. Before she attacks me, I say, well, just a minute. May I ask you a question, ma'am? Yes, what is it? Did you decorate this store? It's beautiful. I've seen a lot of stores, but I've never seen one this beautiful. Did you do it? Yes. You're wonderful. Now, what's your problem? Oh, screws loose there on the side, that's all. Number 6, drive carefully, it warns me. You can't be successful in the cemetery or the hospital. And when that card comes up, every 8 weeks it comes up, it tells me, put your seatbelts on, stupid. If you're drinking, don't drive that car. Get yourself organized so you don't have to rush to get someplace and wind up speeding and hurt. Success is very simple. It comes to you in a program, just as your life comes, day after day. And here, of course, my favorite card, enthusiasm. Without it, you're dead. It's the first thing you have when you come. It's the first thing you give up on the way out. If I've had one question asked me in my lifetime, I can tell you it's this one. Men, women, teenagers. Ira, how do you get enthusiastic? I'm not an enthusiastic person, they say. How do you get enthusiastic? Well, you don't just jump up and say, hey, boys, I'm enthusiastic. Oh, no. You start back up here. And you look at yourself tomorrow morning. And you get yourself organized. And as you go along, being cheerful and optimistic and doing those things that you should be doing, all of a sudden your boss says to you, hey, you're looking sharp there, Joe. You're doing a good job. Or your customer says, hey, I'm glad I saw you. I want to place an order for a couple of more of those. And all of a sudden your attitude's better. Say, hey, how about that? I feel pretty neat, you know? Hey, I'm enthusiastic. Ira, you're always smiling, a guy said to me one day. You're always smiling. I said, well, Chuck, I found out you can't snarl on the way to the bank. Of course, anybody can do anything for 7 weeks. Those of you in this room are habitually late to get started. You could be on time for 8 weeks. Those of you who know that you're really not as sharp as you should be, you could be sharp for 8 weeks. You could be happy for 8 weeks. You could smile for 8 weeks. You could be cheerful and optimistic, or you could be moderate for 8 weeks, or you could say something nice for 8 weeks. Where you separate the men from the boys is on the 8th week. And of course you know what that card will be. Let's try it one more time. As I say, I don't really need the cards anymore. I don't need them because I've lived with them so long. I know what card number 3 is. And I know what card number 5 is. And I know what card number 7 is. But I have to keep them to keep pace with tomorrow. And as you meet these people, those of you who do something about it, the tragedy of success is you always got 95% of the people ready to shoot you down. They're the Mr. Negatives. They're the guys that are going to give you the old rod. They're the guys that are going to say, oh, Bill, you know this old Bill? He came back from that meeting. He really got the old needle. He's out there snapping pictures. He's out there doing a... Hey, did you notice old Joe? He walks around now with a brand new suit on, like he's real important. And I saw Harry, he got a new car, you know. And I don't need a new car, he says. I don't need color television. I don't need a power lawnmower to cut one lousy square foot of grass. I certainly don't need to run around giving away play money. I don't need a new home to impress my neighbors. I must be successful. And I don't need this. And I don't need that. And when you meet that man, you might say to him, my friend, you may be living in the wrong country. Because this is a nation of people who have put together the greatest standard of living by men charging against each other. Tonight, some young man will be wiped out on the highway. And tomorrow, your wife will say something over a bridge table. Hey, how about that? Wasn't it tragic? Imagine that guy, 3 kids and $2,000 worth of insurance. Where was the salesman who was supposed to bang on his door and say, look, I want to show you some of the people who have a full insurance policy with me. Next week, a vacation is ruined because a man tried to leave with bald-headed tires. Where is the salesman who was supposed to arouse him and talk about the wind in his hair and the fun of going over the highway with new automobile tires? And of course, you might tell this guy, there are other standards of living than that which we have. You could come with me to some other countries around the world. When I was in Berlin, Germany, I enjoyed the beautiful sights of West Berlin, magnificent city. And while I was there, I wanted to go down and see the big wall across their street. And I went down, and I had my camera. And I climbed up to take a picture over the wall. And the first thing that I noticed, there was a man standing in front of me. And I looked at his shoes, and they were filthy. And I looked at his clothes and his gun. And then I looked at his face. And then I looked over the wall. There's nothing there. I went to Calcutta, India. I saw a boy our Stephen's age curled up on the sidewalk. I said, hey, that boy's sick. He's not sick. He sleeps there. Sleeps there. That's right. Tonight, they'll be all the way out toward the Ganges. Not for me. What's this got to do with us? It's got this to do with us. We don't have to be ashamed of what we have. We don't have to put our tongues in our cheek and say, we really could do a lot better, but we don't want to. Our responsibility is to get up tomorrow morning, look in that mirror, say to ourselves, my friend, you ain't seen nothing yet. Your responsibility is to get out there, and whatever product you sell, sell it with all the might and heart that you've got. And as you go out tomorrow, you'll remember this. It will be just a little bit different. And out of it will come whatever future you want. Well, you've been a great audience, and I'm delighted to have been with you, and I certainly hope that your future is everything that you want it to be. Thank you very much.